Call the advisory committee meeting to order at 8:01 p.m. All members are present. Good evening, everyone. Great to see everybody.
How are you?
In a while. I hope everybody's having a good summer so far. Figured it was good to at least get together, approve our minutes so we're not behind, and cover a couple short topics. Shouldn't be too long of a meeting. Why don't we start with the minutes? They look great. Claire, I had no edits. I don't know if anybody else had any.
No edits.
No, they look good.
I just had one minor typo, I think.
Probably.
On row 8 or line 8 had with doing the any related work. Wasn't sure if there was a word missing or an extra. Maybe
They could just continue doing any related work.
yeah, maybe it's can be deleted.
Oh, okay, I got it. Yep.
No edits.
All right, great. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Roll call vote. Larry,
Aye.
Howard,
Aye.
Marcy,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Tim.
Aye.
All right, Andrew's aye. That was easy. Chair update. Not a whole lot of update. We'll cover off on meeting schedule when we look at the budget calendar. We can kind of talk about future meetings. Future topics I think are going to be more focused around kind of prepping for the budget and what do we intend to do there. I think this year we're going to try to do, as we talked in the last meeting, a budget book light, not a 400-page budget book, but something more than we've done in the past. So we'll probably cover off on what are our expectations of the finance team and ourselves to kind of help put together that. But other than that, I don't have too much pending on our immediate calendar besides what we're covering off on tonight. Okay. Adam, you want to talk about the website piece that you worked on?
Sure.
Are you gonna want to share? I can make.
Yeah, I'll share the website and then I can kind of walk through the different sections in my notes. So
Okay, I think I'm gonna be. Do I need to make you or?
yeah, I
Tim,
can't.
you can co-host.
Yeah, I can't share right now. Yeah, I'm still.
Tim, can you? I think you're a
Come on.
host. Tim.
What did you need, Andrew?
Oh, Adam, co-host.
Got it.
There we go. Okay, good. So this is our website if you haven't been there before. I'll say right off the bat here, one thing I didn't do, which I can take an action item to do if there's value in it versus some of my recommendations maybe might not require this, but I think it would be good to get some data on the traffic to any of these links and the site in general, just to sort of know if any of my recommendations would potentially be different if we knew that it was either high traffic or lower traffic than we thought. So I can take that action item. Just I think that's good hygiene for us to know. My first comment is this overview here. We may want to take a look at that copy and see if we want to change any of the language in there. I think it's very formal, which is okay if that's sort of the way we want to have the language written there. But if we want to soften it up a bit or change the content altogether, we could take a stab at that. So that's just one overall thing.
The bylaw language?
Sorry.
Is that the language straight from the bylaw?
Yeah, pretty much. It's basically our charge, right? So maybe we can have like overview and have kind of to your point, Adam, like a softer description, and then like put down like, committee charge or something like that. And have
Right.
Official.
Yeah, I think that would be important. Honestly, if I read that first paragraph, I would have stopped and gone to another page.
Yeah, I mean, I had to read it like 3 times, so I agree with you, Larry. It's probably a pretty hard introduction for the first thing someone's going to read about advisory.
Not terribly inviting.
Yeah.
I mean, my first thing is with people that don't understand what advisory committee is with the finance committee of the town. Right? Most people understand what a finance committee is from a board of trustees or something similar. But so yeah, I think we could probably come up with something that's a little bit more user friendly and then have the charge below. But I think
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
good edit.
Okay. So I could take a stab at some of that if we all agree on that. And then going through some of the pages here, each of these going down the left-hand side is a link. Some have links to other pages, and I'll show you my recommendation on each of them. Some are links directly to a document that just downloads immediately. And one thing I didn't do, so a second action I would give myself is to see what it looks like on a mobile phone versus on a desktop. But for the purposes of this, I looked at it on a desktop. So the first page, this 2007 Municipal Facilities Committee, I think just by the title itself, 2007, it's obviously old, and it's also incredibly specific. I don't know the history there. Why was there something important about 2007 in particular? I downloaded these documents and looked through them, and they both seem pretty irrelevant today. And I don't think there's any reason other than if someone knows history about this event in 2008 and this preserving our past, I could bring that up if you want. But again, it's a document that just didn't really seem much relevant for today's time. So my recommendation is to delete this section.
I would agree. I think we deleted that. I think it was done before we did the public safety building. It was kind of to make sure that we weren't, jeopardizing the rest of the buildings in town by doing that larger a project. But Claire, were you on the committee back then?
No.
No. Okay. But yeah, I think that was my recollection of it.
Would it make
It's just a
sense?
lot of old stuff because nobody's been focused on just cleaning up. It's like typical websites. There's a
Yeah.
lot of old stuff.
Well, I think the issue was none of this was visible on the old website, but when they converted to the new one, I think it might have been hidden on an old page in the background or something that wasn't linked to the page. So it all kind of bubbled up and, edited out. But Larry, sorry, you had something.
Well, that's okay. I always have this tendency not to throw files away. And would it make sense to, at the bottom of the sidebar, to have a link that says something like advisory committee archive, and just throw old stuff in there as it gets old? Anything that's more than 5 years old just gets moved under there and becomes semi-invisible but not completely disappeared.
We could do something like that, Larry. I had a recommendation, and you'll see as I go through some of these other tabs here that I personally think like anything older than 10 years old is probably fair game to delete, but there's no downside, I suppose, to keeping something even as old as 2007 in an archive folder. But you'll see there's a lot of files that I think having an archive does make sense. And we can just sort of use that as a place where we store older files. But I personally think older than 10 years there's not much value to keeping it around. But that's just
I sort of agree with that. There might be something that we consider so important that we'll keep it, but I think 10 years is probably a good dividing line.
Yeah, and I think it would be interesting to talk to Jay, because I think the document, like if you went up into the search and you search for advisory documents or something like that, it would still show up, but we might just not link to it from our page. So that would be, the question is, how much stuff do we want to actively have a link in our quote unquote archive bucket versus use the town's kind of search functionality to do the archive of the documents on the website.
Mhm.
I think there's validity to the archive. Something came up in the selectmen meeting, I think it was last night even, that was going back 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we should never delete anything, but I think like these documents, I don't think these are advisories documents.
Mhm.
I would assume these are select boards or capital plannings, and we just happen to put a link to it in our
I think
page.
the theme is that we all agree that column on the left needs an update. I think we all agree with that.
Yeah.
At that point, we have to figure out what we put on that side, but yes, it definitely needs an update.
Yeah. Okay. The next one, this 2020 advisory written report, when you click it, you can see, or I don't know if you can see what's happened here when I click it. It just brings up a document to download. Here, again, I'm not sure the specificity of why there's a 2020 report specifically. My recommendation is to create a more general advisory report tab. And this is where we can house maybe our end of year reports or other important memos that we've written, or kind of just generalize this as advisory written reports or town communications or something of that nature.
I would think probably because we don't have that many documents, maybe just do it by fiscal year. You know, like fiscal year 20 or fiscal year, whatever this is, fiscal year 21. And then in there, each year we have our, final budget document, the warrant is there, the advisory letter, any associated, if there's a study or something else that we did, but usually we don't have that many kind of artifacts per year.
Yeah, so you could have a page that you click on it and then it's organized by year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we drill
Yep.
in and
I think that makes total sense. And there's some other tabs in here where that makes sense. So for example, budgets.
budget. Yeah.
You click on here, they have it by year.
Yeah. So like if we put in instead of calling it budgets, we call it, data or reports or information or something. And plug
Yeah,
it into the-
So what I was recommending is that, because I think there could be value in separating our written reports from budgets, if that helps with the way people might be searching for things, because the budgets aren't necessarily like, I mean, you can click on each one of these and see the budget. It's not going to have any of the written communications per se that we might have drafted. So we could combine it all in one, or if we think it's simpler for people to search for written reports versus end of year budgets, we could keep it separate. But I definitely agree with organizing it by year.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And then again, on the budgets, I think we could probably delete the links to anything older than 10 years. I don't know if people are searching that far back, maybe even 5 years on a budget page to delete a link, but
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think going back 10 years on the detail of the budget, I think we should always have our annual reports and our warrants, right? That'll have the actual, like Jim will have all the individual warrants that get approved and what the budget was in there, right? So the data is never going to disappear, but a 2011 staff spreadsheet from
Right.
the DPW is a little
successive.
excessive.
Yeah. Okay. Just make that note here. Okay. And then this budget terms here, as well as some of these other things like stabilization fund policy, maybe this finance committee handbook. I was proposing that there might be like a resource page that houses multiple things like that. I don't know if we need a separate link that specifically goes right to budget terms. So I don't know if it's finance committee resources or finance resources, something of that nature, just more general.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And you can link to the handbook or the MMA website or
Right.
Association of Town Finance Committees, different external pieces.
Yep, exactly. And then correspondence received. This had the most links, and it's organized in a way that's pretty challenging, I think, for someone to find what they would actually want. So it does look like certain years also, like 2011 and 14, for whatever reason, like every department's budget is in there. And then as you go to 2015 and then 17, it's less and less. And then for final budgets, it doesn't have a year or anything. So it's really hard to know what that actually is. So on here, I think this is the page that probably needs the most work, assuming we do want to actually have a separate link to every single department budget. It could be the kind of thing where we organize this page by year and we have department budgets maybe for the last couple of years, no more than 5. And then we also have a final budget in a separate category or maybe housed again in each of the individual years. So depending on what someone wants to see, a department budget versus the final budget, they can easily find it. This to me is not very user friendly.
Couldn't we do a folder per year, just do a folder tree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Open
Yeah, I
it.
think just like we kind of do on OneDrive or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Why is this stuff under correspondence?
Yeah, that was another question that I had too. I actually would say we should just rename that like a budget page.
Although
I
it
mean-
looked like there was some correspondence at the top, maybe.
I mean, probably the town accountant emailed their budget, so technically it was correspondence or something, but who knows?
Yeah, to me, this budgets and correspondence received should just be one page organized by year.
Now, what are people's thoughts? So we have our drive, right, where Brian will update the budgets as they change, and it's a live document. Do we want to keep them in sync as things change, or do we want to just put the final departmental budgets once the budget is kind of, prior to town meeting, but once they're kind of solidified?
I'd vote for final.
Okay.
Second on that. I don't think we need to keep updating that. It's
Right.
Yeah, final, I think.
Actually,
Or like, kind of final that we have for town meeting, and then if they end up editing one, during town meeting, I don't know if they go back and change it, but like the final.
If
After
we're
town
looking
meeting
for
vote.
prior to town meeting, yes, we should have presenting at town meeting, and then of course we should update it to the final. That's
okay.
I think we need a working file through the year or through the months, whatever it is. But we shouldn't. It's too difficult to have the working file if you put that copy everywhere, unless we're working off the live, and I don't think that's appropriate.
Yeah, I think we can hear you, Howard. It's a little low, just so you know, but we can.
Yeah, your mic is light tonight.
and in all cases, we should spell received right.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea.
And Adam, one thing I noticed on the first page, I forgot to mention it there, that I saw on our page, what I noticed it on somebody else's page, is they don't list all the committee members out anymore.
Oh,
They just put the chair, and I'd like it to have everybody's.
yeah, over here.
Yeah, I was looking at trying to figure out the members. You have to go to like view membership and go in and click it and find the thing, and it's just kind of cumbersome.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay. I'll write that in here.
I don't know if it's something we can do holistically across the website, but that was something I found I liked on the old website that they don't have on this one.
Okay, I'll jot that down. And then the last one, or no, there's 2 more. So police and fire. This to me seemed outdated. I don't know, again, specifically, was there something going on in 2015 that we want to save this in an archive, to Larry's point, or can we just delete this?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't delete it from the website if we have the storage space, but I don't think we need to have a hot link. I mean, if we had an FY16 page and we wanted to put this stuff in there, maybe, but I don't think we need to. I was thinking we would just basically have an FY, last 3 years page for now. And then all this rest of this can be, because this is all in the public safety building
Yeah.
you know, it's probably on their
Yeah.
page as well. I don't know why it's also on ours.
Right. So if we just get rid of this link here.
Yeah.
That,
Was
Get rid
this
of the
when the
the
fire station
page,
was
but keep
being
the
built?
documents.
Was
Yeah.
this related to when it was being built, maybe?
Looks like the study's going up to.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, space needs studies and all that stuff.
okay. And then the last one, because I had mentioned the stabilization fund, I would put that into a resource page along with some other stuff. So then this town
Yeah.
meeting information, which if you click it, I don't know if anyone has watched this video. I did go through the video. It's very outdated. That's like kind to say to this video. So
If
I think it's pretty out of touch. I would delete the video. We could have a town meeting page if we want to have any information about town meeting or our role at town meeting. But this video should come down.
if we had a town meeting link, I would send it. It would basically hot link over to the town clerk. I mean, that's where, everybody should be going for their town meeting information.
But we have, whether it's ours or the town clerks, we have if you remember the book that you get when you go to town meeting has everything and has the language ahead of time, procedures and.
Yeah.
That might not be bad to put somewhere, whether it's our site or the town clerk somewhere. And if we're gonna have a link to it, then, that could be in there and then if it's on our site.
Yeah, Adam, you want to click on town clerks just for a second? I'm pretty sure I remember.
So here.
It would be, I said, not boards and committees, it would be under departments.
Town
Town clerk. Town meeting.
information. I don't know what this is.
And, but I think if you go to like the past town meeting one, that has a bunch of stuff in it.
This one?
Maybe not.
No.
The old website
Oh,
did.
maybe you can go down to different.
Oh, maybe like the if you go to like the 2023. Like if you, I think sometimes if you go to like the download, there's more stuff there.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right. I don't know what just happened now.
So I just it opened up a new tab. Just go to the other tab. If you click like where the download is, I
Download.
think there should be like the packet, and that'll bring up, I think, the warrant or something like that. But anyway, that's where I would think
Yeah.
we would send people. And then I don't know why they have a link to the citizens petition form in advisories bucket. I mean, that's more.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, that sidebar is sort of precious real estate and things that really don't have to do with the committee probably don't belong there.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
the
fine if it's a
download-
town meeting information link and it just goes to Jim's town meeting information page and he owns that. I don't really have a problem with that, but
Yeah, we could do that, or I mean, I guess I am not sure where like if I were looking for town meeting information, I don't think I would go to the advisory page.
Yeah.
So I don't think we really need it on our left-hand side,
I think it's fine.
but
Yeah, it used to be on the main page of the town website, you used to have a link for town meeting. So.
Yeah, I think they usually have it or something hot like there too when it's closer to town meeting. There's a lot more posted there.
yeah,
when it's closer to
that's
town meeting.
right. Like when you go to the main page, I think you can find town meeting information in here when it's closer to the meeting. So I would say we can probably get rid of this link here.
I think that's good.
Okay,
Cool.
that was it. So I can, do you think it's worth getting some of the data on kind of click-through rates on any of these? Or I don't know if it'll change our recommendations, to be honest with you, but it might be good to have regardless, just to know, or maybe we don't want to know.
I mean, the click through are probably, it's probably us doing
Yeah,
it,
that's it.
right?
like
Because none of
doing
this
all this work.
existed 6 months ago. You couldn't click on any of this stuff in the page,
Okay,
right? It just kind of reappeared recently.
so it's probably low regardless.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's very low.
I think having like a overview or like even a financial policy page, which we can have on our page, or probably even more would be on like Brian's department page. But I think we can kind of cover that once we do that financial policy audit with Department of was it DOR.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll probably post all of there'll be some new financial policies as part of that exercise. So I think we could just kind of clean them all up at that point in time.
Okay. So Andrew, I guess as far as any next steps, is it working with Jay, or is there a process that I need to kind of, I don't know, submit a form of some sort? But how does that, do you know how that works?
I don't. I would think,
They
I mean,
don't?
certainly Jay can guide us. Larry, I don't know if you remember anything, but I think some people can actually edit their own pages. But
Oh,
I don't know if with the new website, whether or not that's something we can do, or we have to bring in the consultant. to
That
do it.
that was the goal. They just got this up and running around the time I left MTC, so I don't know exactly what state the world is in, but one of the goals was that each of the committees would be able to edit their own page. So, it would be nice if that were true.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, Jay should be able to let us know what we need to do.
okay. I'll reach out to him.
Great.
All right. That's all I got.
Awesome. All right. Budget calendar. Let me pull it up. So this is a draft of the budget calendar. It hasn't been gone over with the select board or anybody. Just mostly like myself and Brian kind of worked on it a little bit. But I figured while we had everybody was here, we had an opportunity to kind of look at it. I think the idea is to do another one of the kind of weekend all day sessions that we did last time, but to do one joint session with the select board prior to that, to maybe do some of the earlier budgets. Because I think when we did it last time, that was, around when the schools come out. And I think that's an important one to really dig into and have everybody there. Because obviously it's the largest part of the budget. But I think if we can have a shorter, regular nighttime, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock meeting, and hammer out maybe some of the larger but earlier budgets, police, fire, DPW, something like that. So we don't have to squeeze as much into that day. Might not be a bad idea. But I'll kind of pause here as people can read it. Zoom out a little bit. And I think this will probably not be the 30th. It'll probably be the 23rd. Because the 30th is Easter weekend, so I would assume they'd move it up. Anybody let me know if they have any questions on what any of this means.
So week of September 5th. That's the week after Labor Day.
I mean, we don't have to do it that week. It's basically like,
Yeah.
we could say this looks good to us now, right? It's just mostly
Right.
just probably more select board because they have to set more of the dates than us.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, dude. I think people are around that week. I don't know if that's a big travel week or not.
Yeah. One of the things that I did is oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong. Oh, that's not the one, sorry.
So, oh, sorry. The only other thing is Thanksgiving is Thursday the 23rd.
Okay,
So,
for this one. Okay,
I think that's gonna be a pretty tough week possibly for people to, a lot of people travel that week.
okay. Yeah, that might not be a bad idea. And one of the items I was looking at was, this is Lincoln's calendar from last year, and they have the same town meeting date, so I kind of was use theirs as a guide a little bit to see what they had. And one of the ones that I mentioned to Brian was, they opened their warrant January 5th and then close it January 30th. We opened ours in November and closed it in March. So I don't know if there's pluses or minuses to doing it either way. I just thought that was pretty different in terms of how we did it.
Andrew, I wonder what the finance committee's annual budget hearing is.
Yeah, that was an
Interesting.
interesting one. They had a
Yeah.
hearing. They
Because
also
that
had
were,
a where was it was a state of town meeting, which was an interesting meeting, like the 2-day thing. I hadn't had a chance to watch it, but it looked like it was kind of like almost like a state of the union, like how is the town doing? But those were some of the. But like, did they do a same kind of like joint budget workshop and then another joint budget workshop? So they were a pretty good proxy for us. But let me go back to.
it's very helpful, very
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, so the idea would be to have like a joint meeting sometime in January. And then, later in January on a Saturday, do the regular meeting. All right. So besides the Thanksgiving timeline and changing town meeting date, so it doesn't fall on Easter Saturday and Sunday if we run over. And we can meet, we can always review again if once
We can
select
massage
board
this-
sees it and has any edits.
Yeah, we can massage this going. It's a good
Yeah.
starting point.
Yep.
Tweaks as we go.
Now, one thing I did notice from last year's is we sent sent it to the printer, I think on the 22nd last year, and Lincoln sends it on the 28th. So, they can get it a week later than us. Okay, great. So I'll give that feedback to Brian and Mark, and we'll see what select board comes back with. All right, lastly. I had a thought that with the select board came out with their goals, and I think this is the most updated version. I didn't get a copy from them yet, if anything had changed, but my thought was for some of these, they're very finance related, and some of them are a little bit in our purview in terms of expertise, that it might make sense to put some of these advisory member as a bit of a liaison or somebody that can help them with any of the analysis or stuff that they needed to do. So I kind of thought we could go through them, and if anybody had interest, put their name next to it, and we can track that with the select board. Some of these are, a little bit more select board purview and administrative than, obviously the finance ones are a little bit more in our, but I thought some of these especially, have an impact in terms of the budget or forecasting, like police and fire and, cost benefit. HIPAA compliance, I know we've certainly looked at that. Oak Hill truck issue, I'm probably going to be involved just by the nature of living on that street, but not necessarily a advisory piece. But if we want to go, I figure we can just kind of go one by one and see if anybody has any interest, and I'll just put names down. Committee simplification and streamlining. Anybody have any? And we don't need to put, we don't need to do all of these, right? Or any of them, but if anybody has any interest.
So what does that entail exactly, Andrew, on that one?
I think it's, looking at how for the select board to look at all the committees that we have, and do we still need all of these? I mean, some of them are kind of defunct, or they don't have enough quorum, or kind of the charges overlap each other. So I think for them, they were just going to kind of try to clean up. Do we need all these? Like they're talking about the Public Works Planning Board. Do we want to change that charge? So I don't know if it has a whole lot of advisory related stuff. So I don't know if that's one that we would need somebody.
I mean, if needed, I would volunteer just because I watch a lot of meetings and know some of them, but I agree with you. I'm not sure that we're needed there, but.
Yeah, I don't think. I think, Marcy, I think it's more if you chimed in on public comment.
Exactly. I'd
select
have
board
some
kind of
input.
thing.
All right.
On the IT side, we certainly have talked about cybersecurity, and it's certainly been a focus of ours. Same with HIPAA. So I don't know from
Yeah, I mean,
Larry or Tim, any interest in following those in your advisory role, or just kind of offline?
I'm certainly happy to follow them. I'm not sure exactly what the process is that you're proposing here, but certainly I've been involved in that stuff for the last 5 years, so I'm happy to sort of track it or whatever you're proposing.
Yeah, I'm thinking of it mostly as liaison or advisory or help, right? In nature, because a lot of these, you have expertise, or HIPAA, Tim has a lot of expertise. And some of these might come to having a warrant article or something that we're going to need to vote on, or it's going to need funding or something along those lines. So kind of getting involved in the infancy will help us, down the road if we're going to have to vote on it or advise on it.
Well, so we're looking to develop goals for FY25. Is that it?
Yeah, so this is the select board's goals. Right, and we have our own, like we talked about the one, maybe we want to do a budget book, and we talked about some of the things that we wanted to do. But this is basically, do we want to, so we have departmental liaisons when we go to the budget process, of people that'll work with the department on understanding their budget and, helping edit it and challenge it. But this is kind of also, I figured a liaison helper or, oversight, whatever, not really oversight, but just, be attached to the goal. And if you want to work with the select board member and advise or help in any way we can, great. If they, just keeping you in the loop, or nothing. And we could just hear about it, just like they do in the select board meetings when they update on the progress of the goals.
Are they setting up any ad hoc committees for any of these?
I would assume some would, but I haven't heard of any that are permanent, expressly planned. I'm trying to think anything here. Public Works Planning Board, they're talking about creating a committee as of that. The Tricentennial Committee, they created that. I think I wouldn't be surprised if the Sidewalk and Road Committee, they're tasking capital a little bit with that, but they're used to be a committee for that, so maybe they would restart that. But
Do we know who the select board liaisons are for each of these?
I found some in their minutes. I had asked Andrew to send me the updated list with everybody, which I can send out, but I haven't gotten a copy of it yet. So like if you see KC, that was Kathy, AH and SS, that was Sam.
Ah.
And Sam's on. I don't know if he has the updated list handy, but if he does, he can raise his hand. Okay, so IT updates, is that Larry, did you wanna?
Sure.
Maybe, okay.
Are you looking, in regards to IT, are you looking for somebody to push, Andrew?
Someone well, I mean, the website update completion, I mean, cloud operation transition, I think that's, push or to at least understand what that means. Cybersecurity, additional IT hire, I mean, that, that's a little bit there.
Historically, we've pushed,
Correct.
and I just don't
think
know.
it's up to, I think it's up to the liaison. I mean, you obviously like HIPAA, I think, Tim, you'd be great for that. To push, what we've certainly put in our letters for the last few years as our concerns. So just making that known and making sure that, we feel comfortable with what decision they're making.
Sure.
I might put you for that one. Communication, I think that's, that's really select board's purview. I don't know if that's something we necessarily should get too involved with. Regional fire police dispatch, I think that's certainly one, especially doing the cost benefit analysis and the efficiency. Having somebody from advisory there to help understand the financials would be important.
I think that's a big one.
Yeah.
I could certainly volunteer. I mean, we need more than one person for that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I don't know what it's gonna look like, but I agree with
need
Tim.
more
That's a big one.
I think we need more clarification of what we're looking for and
Oh.
responsibilities that go with this. I mean, first seeing the list for the first time, I'd like to look it over and
Yeah.
I think for clarification before we
Yeah.
do. I mean, I
Yeah,
think
and we can, table this to another meeting, right? Certainly. If we
I
want.
think all of us are more than willing to assist where needed. We just don't have enough information of where we're best suited yet, so.
Andrew, do you know if the meeting where all this was discussed was recorded? Because I actually missed that meeting. I don't know if it was, or if it was
I
just a live meeting.
I think it was.
Okay, because that
Um,
might also help if we heard the discussion. I didn't hear
Yeah,
the discussion.
I know, I was looking at some of the minutes. Oh, Sam raised his hand. Let me. Allow Sam, let me promote him. It was the minutes from the July 11th meeting, had some of the discussion on it, so I think that one was recorded.
Andrew,
Hey, Sam.
Sam, I just sent you the summary of the select board goals for FY24
Oh, perfect.
with the people's names on them, so feel free to distribute them and look forward to any coordination we can do with you folks. So
Yes,
Well-
Sam, I mean, while you're here, I mean, I thought this was kind of and I ran it by Andrew and he said, made sense.
we did
But,
mention it the other night, so, and I think everybody's supportive of it, so.
Okay. So why don't I just forward out the goals to everybody? Why don't we table it for now? We could do what the select board does and everybody can reply back to me individually with ones that you would be interested in. And then we can just, ones where we have multiple people, we can either have, one or two people together. And if we have ones that probably should have somebody, we can discuss that at our next meeting.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we're at the any other business properly brought forth. Anybody have anything else that we should discuss? Any new business? Okay. Public comment, Sam, anything?
Just did it.
All right. All right, excellent. Any other questions, everybody?
When are you thinking next meeting? That week of the 5th is probably the next?
Yeah, let me tell. I would say that week of the 5th, if yeah, probably a month from now, that week of the 5th, if we can, or the week after, if there's too much going on with Labor Day, but we could throw out, once the selectmen kind of set a date and they get back the edits, we can kind of narrow down, but I would say a first 2 weeks of September meeting, so meet again in about a month.
Right, I forgot about that Labor Day thing. Just that week, Tuesday, please, if we're gonna do it. Or do it the next week, so.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we do a joint meeting with the select board. And we just review the schedule together and do it quick and nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know of anything that's so pressing that we need to meet too early. I think sometime in October, early October, meeting to probably with the select board again, and maybe we do that in the September meeting to talk about kind of budget guidance. You know, do we want level service? Do we want, you know, adding strategic initiatives? Do we want to, you know, keep staffing flat? Do we want to allow for staffing if it's revenue generating, right? So kind of what do we want to put in our letter back to the department heads? Anything we want to target or focus on. I've talked to Brian today too, and I asked him to see if Paul has any inkling in terms of the split tax rate again, whether or not we'll have any, how the residential versus commercial split. Because the residential real estate market's still going pretty strong, not as strong as it was before, but I think commercial's starting to bounce back a little bit. So I'm curious to see if we're gonna even that out this year.
Okay,
So I'll work in the next week or so to put something tentatively on the calendar for the first week or two of September. And then we can edit it as needed with people's availability.
thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
All right, Howard,
aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Marcy,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Tim.
Aye.
And Andrew is aye. Thank Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Have a
you.
great
Thank you. Great night.